あ、あ、あ、あ。
I want to start this video by saying that if this particular type of anime is your kink, that's fine with me, but I'd recommend leaving now because I'm going to be tearing it apart. Just when I thought the isekai genre couldn't spit out any garbage worse than Cheat Magician, I stumbled across this mess. And to be honest with you, at first I was questioning if it was even real, or if I'd taken 6 too many edibles. Around episode 3, I realized I had taken 0 edibles, and that everything I was seeing was a real show made by real humans somewhere in the world. I'll start by giving a brief summary of the anime as best I can. A boy who hates but secretly loves his mother and said mother are transported into a video game to bring parents, specifically mothers, and their children closer together. They fight monsters, build a harem, and experience a lot of uncomfortable, forced sexual tension. I wish I was making all that up, but nope, it's an actual show that was made. Where to even begin? Well, let's start with the one thing I actually genuinely like about the show. It's set in a video game, like I said earlier, but an early build of the game, full of bugs and unfinished characters. As someone who's made and tested games before, this choice by the show creators to include these things made me happy, and I won't apologize about it. That's it, though. That is the one and only thing I like about the show. Everything else the show has to offer I find irritating, cringy, or just downright gross. So let's start with my favorite thing to tear shows apart for: characters. Our main character in this show is Masato, an absolute shithead human being who treats his mother like garbage for some reason, and is pretty unsavory towards everyone else as well. He's portrayed as a gamer, but if I had to guess, I'd say the furthest he's dove into gaming was a few intense sessions of dating sims, and that's about it. For the most part, he's a confused bystander who just goes places because he's guided there. To go on a brief tangent, I'd like to explain a problem in movies, shows, and anime I see far too often: main characters who don't do anything by themselves. A great example of this is the recent Hellboy remake. You might just have watched it and disliked it without realizing why. Well, one big one is that Hellboy doesn't do anything because he wants to. He just goes where he's told and knows quite little about the events unfolding around him, making him seem like a disingenuous hero. Something this anime is also guilty of. Many anime are guilty of this, actually. It's not something unique to this mom fetish trash. Now that I've done a terrible job explaining why I think Masato is a bad character, let's talk about his mother. Her name is Mamako, and I think that's supposed to be a pun about her being Masato's mom. However, I don't like that name one bit, so I'm just going to be calling her Mother character from now on. So number one annoying mom gets taken to this fantasy world along with her son, and turns out to actually be OP, in contrast to her son being a massive failure. She uses 2 small swords as weapons, and these things make me laugh every time I see her use them. One is water and the other is fire. Water sword is just fine, it uses water like you'd expect, but the flaming sword just makes large metal spikes grow out of the ground. I will never get tired of Japanese people's strange understanding of how the elements work. I'm surprised they didn't go for the classic move and make lightning an element for some reason. Every single other character in the show is a mixture of unsettling and boring. It sounds weird, and that's because it is. Characters do and say things no human would, which gives them this eerie, serial killer vibe. They all seem like monsters pretending to be human after watching an interview with Ted Bundy. If that's what the show is going for, I'd be on board, but since this is a weird mother fetish adventure show, it makes the characters that much more disturbing. Maybe you'll like it though, so who am I to judge? In terms of visuals, there isn't much to be said about this anime. It's right in the middle ground, not so bad it's on the Black Clover side, but no masterpiece at the same time, just perfectly mediocre. Every rule has its exceptions though, and while for the most part the visuals are nothing to talk about, sometimes they become downright hard to look at. It's not because of how bad they are, but rather that the design choices made just result in something highly unsettling. Take this dragon, for example. I honestly can't put my finger on why, but for some reason I just do not like looking at it. Aside from these weird inserts from time to time, the show is just meh, like I said before. Part of me wishes the people making the show would have just committed to this weird horror energy they stumbled into, and made a Junji Ito-esque isekai instead of this middling drivel. Story is another very ominous aspect of this anime. I assume what they were going for was a sort of redemption story that shows even these horrible parents still love their kids above all else. What it feels like to me is a story about control and oppression, implying children should blindly trust their parents and believe they always have the kid's best interest in mind. Mothers in specific. It will show a horrible parent that fucks their kid's life up, but in the end, since the moms still love the kid, the child falls back into subservience. Maybe I'm just out of my mind, but this really makes me genuinely uncomfortable. This is pushing far past the mother fetish and into something darker that I'm not sure I want to be a part of. Take the main mother character, Masato's mom. She's supposed to be the glowing beacon of motherhood. Literally, she glows when her mommy love powers are activated. I never thought I'd dislike saying a sentence as much as I disliked that one. Anyways, what she is goes beyond love and deep into unhealthy territory. Instead of coming across as a loving mother, she seems more like a Kathy Bates character, like the one in Misery. Making all this far scarier as this is a known trope, specifically very popular in Japanese stories where yandere characters are pretty common. A character, usually a female one, appears to be nothing but sweet and loving but is mega crazy. This, in my opinion, is more of a Dorodere situation, but who really cares? It's weird and it makes me sad. And if the anime about growing closer to your mom is making me scared and sad, I think something may be a little off about it. Or off about me. Judging by the public response I've seen, I don't think I'm too far off the mark here though. Many people have a similar opinion to mine where for some reason this show just makes them uncomfortable. So yes, I do believe this is a bad anime, but I think what makes it bad is something you'd never expect looking at it or reading about it. You'd probably just think it's a cheesy, low-effort isekai anime. What you wouldn't be expecting is a Lovecraftian horror parading around as a mother instead. This anime is weird, this video was weird, and quite frankly, this all could have been a hallucination. I wouldn't have been surprised. Thanks for watching though, and please send help.